Alrighty, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 bot AI cast. We have got ourselves what should be a good one here today, as it's going to be a couple of new bots that I've never cast before. It is SiriusBot, a Terran bot, but I believe actually a random bot rolling Terran, and taking on SiriusBot is going to be Titania, a Zerg bot with a cool name. So we'll see how these two do against each other based on the initial look. Speed mining is enabled for both of them, so that's the first big check. And I'll also read a little bit of their descriptions. But ladies and gentlemen, before we get too far into this one, go ahead, click that like button if you haven't already. Let me know in the comments down below if you like to see newer bots, things people are working on, or if you just want to see the top bots, or simply just say more bots. And yes, subscribe if you haven't already, as we put out daily videos here on the channel. But enough of that, as we do have an SCV scout from SiriusBot. So I'll go ahead and read SiriusBot's description first. It's got a nice little blurb written for it, programmed by Sirius Hack, random race. And then it was created the 30th of August, 2025. Bot built from scratch except for copying game connection samples in August 2025. I prefer not to use a framework, as building the framework is oddly the fun part for me. SiriusBot is a random bot with no predefined build orders yet, just a counter table and a dream. And then we have it saying currently working on harassment, baneling drops, reapers, banshees, immortal drop, etc. Known bugs, which is very commendable that the bot author lists their bugs on their page. Kiting micro isn't quite right. Poor pathing awareness, cannot sense incoming cheese nor respond to it. Does not regroup after losing main fight. Pushing out is not cohesive. Counter table derived from testing with no micro. No wall building placement strategy. So a few things to be worked on. But notably at the end of, and did I just hear a scan? Notably at the end of that, it says architecture. SiriusBot uses a behavior competition architecture where varying scripted behaviors compete for a unit or mineral/gas control. That's a very interesting insight on this newer Terran bot. We get a block at the third base of Titania. That's not something we see too often. But who knows, maybe this will prevent the Zerg from taking a third. As the Reaper comes on up for SiriusBot, we'll see how well it's going to micro here as it begins trying to work away on that queen. There is drones transferring for Titania, just going down to this natural now that it's saturated. However, some of them are being conscripted into battle, so nothing that's looking like completely missing from these two bots here as they have their initial skirmish drones trying to fight the Reaper. It's not quite working out. The Queen does need to step up and help out. First drone does go down to the Reaper, but it looks like a Ling may finish the job, and it does. So a little bit of blood on each side. We then get an actual eBay building for SiriusBot as another Reaper runs on in and dies, and then there's still this one blocking the 3rd/4th location. So very interesting build there. Scouting Ling, meanwhile, is in SiriusBot's main base, and that's a bit of a problem against the Zerg. This is why Terrans tend to go for walls on the high ground with the depots, as the bot author pointed out. And then we have Titania, the Zerg bot, just getting out a rather quick speed, still mining gas, and then, yeah, just producing some Lings here. And then just getting up its third base. The drone count is rather low for the Zerg bot right now, so it does look like it's probably getting aggressive. There's an Evo, but no upgrades started yet. And so I'll just take this moment to pull up Titania's description, where it says it's programmed by Swift Coder, created 18th of October 2025, last updated October 27th, 2025, and originally a Zerg sparring partner for Puck, slowly taking on a life of its own. It is interesting how bot authors seem to program one bot and then they want to test it against certain things, so they do create multiple projects to play against each other. This Zergling is getting a few clicks here. Titania cruising at 150,000 APM. I do hope my game doesn't crash later on in this match, as all these lings are now starting to move on out. I think my FPS is already dropping a little bit. Okay, we're still cruising high, but the lings are coming in for Titania. They are surrounding the Marines. They're killing the Hellions. This third base attempt could be in trouble, as SiriusBot just doesn't have what it needs to respond to 46 Zerglings. No bunker. We'll see how well this Hellion's going to do. It's trying to retreat, but that's not going to happen. The SCVs skedaddle on out of that natural base to greener pastures. Lings attacking some buildings, but so far the attack has been fairly cohesive for the Zerg bot. The third base is probably going to be killed, maybe canceled here. That's a good test for SiriusBot. It does go for the cancel. So again, these are newer bots, but they've got quite a bit of functionality in them. SiriusBot, we'll see if it can produce enough stuff to stem the slide. Oh my gosh, stem the tide of the Zerg. Holy cow. Apparently I shouldn't commentate after like 5 p.m. or something like that. Yes, it does look like SiriusBot has been able to hold on, and maybe it can get saturated up at its natural. As I say that, though, more lings are coming in for Titania, and the Hellions, they're kiting back. Marines doing what they can. Trades haven't been terrible for either side, but mining continues to be disrupted. Meanwhile, the Zergbot is getting +1 attack on the way behind this. We are getting more drones squeezed out. The Zerg still has a ways to go before it will catch up in that worker count, and now there's a decent number of Hellions out for SiriusBot to respond to this. And we have got a Liberator on the way for SiriusBot. It's got Hellbats being produced, which will do very well against these Zerglings. Hellbats aren't something we get a lot of in bot matches, as they're just ridiculously slow. The Terran attempts to move on out with its few Hellions. They quickly get shut down / turn around. Meanwhile, more and more Hellbats are on the way, so this could very well be the counter tables in effect for SiriusBot, saying, hey, I'm up against a lot of Zerglings here, so just produce Hellions. The Liberator will start shooting at some of these lings. Are the lings avoiding the liberation zone there, or was that just a coincidence? Anyway, it does look like these lings are still running around, trading out versus the Terran, but unable to get significant damage done so far. However, as things continue on, the Zerg is playing a little bit like, I believe it's Sharkling, or, oh gosh, what's that Ling Rush bot? No, it's not Sharkling. It is 12 Cool bot, I believe. And that's a bot that just sort of builds lings, but slowly adds on drones. We're kind of seeing that from Titania right now, as the Hellbat is in the corner trying to make a stand. It does go down. The lack of blue flame, the lack of any upgrades is hurting the Hellbats, and then just not having critical mass. But the production for SiriusBot is enough to hold on. Meanwhile, more and more lings are just getting thrown on out by the Zerg. The natural is still mining, but that's probably going to be interrupted pretty soon. How many lings have died this game? The answer is 127. Not that much, all things considered. A lot of Hellions have died in the defense. SCVs scattering and then going back to mining. We're currently 3 bases against 2. We are getting +1 armor on the way, which will benefit the Hellbats against these lings. We're getting more Liberators produced, but none of them are harassing. Meanwhile, the creep spread of Titania seems to be pretty good, although I think it's stalled now. I'm guessing the creep tumors are trying to go to the north, and just looks like they're just trying to path away towards the enemy base based off that, but they cannot go any further there. And then the Hellbats are still holding the line. We're getting a fusion core on the way for the Terran bot. If it can just hold on and get out a battle cruiser or a few Banshees, I imagine it could probably just win this game, as the Zerg doesn't seem to be too complex. It's just building lings and squeezing out the odd drone here. We are getting some Liberator harassment now, so as this main base is going to be in trouble. That will be the beginning of some dead drones, and we're not seeing any Queens, Spores, Hydroden go up for the Zerg, anything like that. And I think with this Liberator harassment, things are really going to go in the Terran's favor, as, yeah, there's just no real response for this. Queen does avoid the Liberation Zone, although it just has an urge to inject that hatchery, which goes to show that it's not that simple to program smart defensive behavior, as Queen's priority is usually to inject, not to defend. So yeah, Liberator's just really shutting this down. I think we're going to have a victory here for SiriusBot. A pretty strong showing from both of these bots in their first game. Like, honestly, as far as new bots go, I have seen a lot worse. And these things are doing quite well. Like, yeah, just good engagements, that kind of thing. Lings are getting on some of these Marines. We may see a counterattack. There's not that many Hellbats. It seems that SiriusBot has abandoned building the Hellbats. There's now a Banshee causing some troubles. Lings will find a third base attempt. That gets canceled. There is, or pardon me, a fourth base attempt. There is a new third base over there. Lings are coming on in. We'll see what they're able to get done here, as SiriusBot does seem to have lost its focus a little bit, but still, there's really not much mining going on for the Blue Zerg anymore. 4 drones. And it's sending them to other locations. So we see the economic balancing having issues here. There's literally no reason that those drones should transfer in this situation. But they're like, yeah, sure, let's leave our safe, not discovered mining third base and just go back to work in the main. And that just goes to show there's many considerations in situations like that. Lings are in the main base of SiriusBot, causing some problems, but at this point the SCVs for the Terran could A-move, and they'd probably be able to kill all the Lings, so yeah, that is going to be it, I think, for this one. If you guys enjoyed this match, click that like button, leave a comment down below, subscribe, and if you want to support daily bot content, consider becoming a YouTube member, as that goes a long way. There's various perks, and just big thanks to the bot authors who do send in their replays. It's very nice to have fresh games to cast whenever the time comes, and I do enjoy seeing your newer bots, so feel free to send those to me however you like. And that is, yeah, pretty much gonna be it. Very good showing from these two bots so far. We'll definitely check out some more of their games in the future. Makes me curious about casting Puck, seeing as how Titania is supposed to be a sparring partner for Puck, so we'll keep our eyes on that. Just a bit of a slow cleanup going on now, but there it is. We did eventually get Blue Flame for the Hellbats too, which is quite nice. GG.